So welcome everybody. It's already 12 o'clock. So I would like to welcome you to our live webinar about business growth through human-centric change. Today, it's my pleasure to really introduce you to Lynn Bruines, who is going to be my co-facilitator in this very essential topic. Many of you might have noticed that in organizations, regardless of whether they are from the for-profit or not for-profit sectors, often the question is, why should we bother? And whilst we have all the good intentions, sometimes we're just missing that trigger that can help us open the door to the big bosses and to get the active and visible executive sponsorship that we all need to get going with a human-centered change and really achieve business growth. My name is Margit Takacs, and I'm your host for today's session. I'm a change management consultant, a published author, trainer, and coach. And today I'd like to welcome on this call my co-facilitator, an expert in the customer-centric mindset field, Lynn Bruines. Lynn?
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much, Margit, for that lovely introduction. I look forward to spending some time with you and to share with you what I've learned as well when it comes to customer centricity for different type of organizations.
Thank you. The rest you can read. I guess let's get into it. 45 precious minutes you have given us as a gift today, and we would like to make sure that you get the most out of it. So what to expect? Maybe not just yet a baby, but what you can expect from this virtual workshop is that we're going to bridge the gap between change management and business success. The gap is not that evident. They are connected, but sometimes we need to help our leaders to realize where it is coming from. Furthermore, we're going to talk about how to foster a customer-centric mindset change, regardless to spend too much time on this, is a very important change initiative that we often need as part of a culture change in an organization. And Lynn is going to reveal a couple of interesting insights on how to get going with the right discussion with the right people. And you know me, many of you at least, I do like making these little workshops very lively. So other than using a couple of word clouds and polls, I would like to make sure that we will have one opportunity to also connect with one another. And I'm going to present to you a real life case study about a challenge of really convincing leaders to dedicate their time to focus not just on the results, but also on the human side. And I'm going to pick on the wisdom of everyone who is here through this breakout group to see what are the best practices we can bring about. It's a little bit of a ground rule for today's session. If you don't speak, please put yourself on mute. So regardless of how many people we end up having in today's session, it will not be bothered with the echoes that you might be facing. So
I've been muting everybody in the background, so everybody should be muted now.
Thank you. So you are in the right place today in this workshop. If you are maybe at times stuck with how to trigger your boss's interest to talk about the human side, you are also in the right place if you haven't found maybe the way to speak the boss's language, and show them why it's important. And also, if you just need a new perspective on how to strengthen a people-focused and customer-centric mindset. Now, thanks to the registrations that I've seen before, I know we bring at least 600 years of experience in this webinar already. So it's who am I to tell you what to do? What I'd like to give you, though, is a new perspective and hopefully an enriched approach that you can take back and test back at your workplace, regardless of where you're working. What you will learn is we're going to talk about the 3 ways to trigger curiosity. And in the change management world, there are many toolkits available, but there is one tool that I felt is simple enough, practical enough for you to take away. It's called Prove It. I will reveal it in a moment. I would like to also connect the employee and customer-centric world really to what it means to an organization. Mostly the context in which I will be talking, it will be more for the corporate sector, but I believe that even not-for-profits can gain from the model I will present, which is the service profit chain. And I would like to make sure that you apply your wisdom and we can learn from you during these sessions. So these insights hopefully will be relevant for you when you continue working at your workplace. A I'm going to share with you just 3 startling statistics. Why is it so important to talk about the human-centric change? Well, the first one is from Forbes, very recent research that said 31% of CEOs are fired for not managing organizational change well enough. If you need more facts around this research, feel free to check the link. You will receive it in the follow-up email, but it's quite startling. Sooner or later, any leader, CEO or senior leader, will be facing the consequences if they don't manage the changes that they need to lead effectively, which means not just on the technical side, also on the people side. The second one is from Boston Consulting Group. They said 70% of digital transformations fall short of their objectives, often with profound consequences. Now, digitization is a topic that we've been talking about for decades, we could already say. Digital transformation is not a new kid on the block when it comes to leadership and management challenges. It remains high on many organizations' agenda. So if you think about the 70%, it's a scary statistic, not just shocking, it's scary too, because think about you spending 10 days on a certain digitization related project at your workplace, 10 days all together. 7 days might be in vain because it's not going to be contributing to the success of the initiative. Now, people are not like templates. People have emotions, they talk back, they resist, they like us, they don't like us, and their initiative. But the question is how we can decrease those transformations failing. And there is no magic wand. I wish I could give it to you in these 45 minutes or so longer interventions I have with you. But what is it that we can do is to trigger the interest and commitment of our leaders. And the third one, the last one for today, is from McKinsey, again from this year. And they said frontline employees taking the initiative to drive change elevates the success of transformation to a whopping 71%. That's a very interesting one as well. Those of you who are familiar with the ProSci change management researches and methodology, you probably would have come across already the fact that most people want to hear about the changes from their direct sponsors. They don't want to hear about that from the big bosses. They want to know what is happening, why it's happening, and what it means to us on the ground floor. If we can do that, we can actually involve and integrate the frontline employees as well in the right dialogue to succeed. Now, just 3 pieces of information for you to think about. Yet, I frequently come across this challenge that clients of mine, colleagues of mine are sharing, that despite those startling facts that are out there from reputable organizations, sometimes our leaders still don't get it. They are firefighting. They are doing everything that they need to make the business survive, but dedicating the right time and using that little time in the best effective way is something that remains a challenge. Now, allow me to invite you to a first little poll. Lynn, kindly put the link in. You can use your QR code or you can use the link that you can see here. I would like to ask you to pick up a couple of keywords. What do you think holds our leaders back from being active and visible sponsors for the people side of change? Not just driving the technical implementation for the right business results, but also focus on the human aspect. Please use keywords because in a moment I will reveal a word cloud, and it best functions if you use keywords, and you can enter several of those. So what holds them back? I will wait for a couple of comments and then I will reveal the word cloud. Let me just talk about, whilst I'm waiting for your responses, about this expression, active and visible executive sponsorship. If you are interested in the field of change, as I mentioned, ProSci, P-R-O-S-C-I, is a very, very rich resource that you can reach out to. They do biannual studies, and every research basically shows that the number one reason for any change to succeed or fail is the presence or the lack of active and visible executive sponsorship. The leaders need to be actively showing their face, be the face for the change, but also contribute to it, not just giving lip service, but being really active. I see already we've got almost 10 comments coming in. So let's see that word cloud shaping up nicely. So maybe it's fear, maybe it's risk, maybe it's a question of awareness. Maybe they are busyness, very good one, of vulnerability, uncertainty. It might be risky. Maybe it's a question of engagement. Maybe it's the question of culture. Maybe they think they know what they need to do, but it's just not yet fully there. Maybe it's a top-down approach, so why should we bother? We already told people we need to do it. Maybe it's uncertainty, the decisions that have to take place. Thank you very much. So you see, there are lots of reasons why our leaders might be held back, and some reasons might be legitimate too. Remember, even though we have high expectations from our leaders, from our board members, from our general managers, they are human too. And they go through the emotional upheaval whenever they are told they need to drive a change. So they are human too, but they have a big responsibility on their shoulder. We need them to be active and visible. Otherwise, we will be struggling with maintaining any change. Now, the title of today's workshop is Business Growth Through Human-Centric Change. In the corporate world, any organization is striving to grow, to get stronger, but to achieve that, it's not just completing the tasks, the big projects and transformations, but also changing the way we work, changing what and how we do. And that's something that's not easy to let go, because we are wired to enjoy stability and certain routines. And whenever we knock on people's doors in the workplace and tell them that we need to change the way we work, they most likely initially will not like the idea. Thank you very much for those insights. Now, I mentioned to you that in the Change Management Toolkit, and there are lots of tools, there is one tool that I felt might be interesting for you. Now, when I talk to people, regardless of their level in an organization about the change, they very often tell me, okay, I get the why. I kind of hear you when you talk to me about the what's in it for me. I see what are the threats of not doing what you're talking about and what are the opportunities, but prove it to me. So to show you this very simple tool, I would like to invite you to put up your hand. If you're using your visuals, then feel free to use that just on the screen, or just put up a little emoji on the reactions button of Zoom, and just indicate to us if this is something that would trigger your interest. So I'm going to talk about Prove It with 3 S's. The first one is sponsors, statistics, and stories. So imagine I am Margit Takacs, and in your organization, I have the privilege of leading, not just supporting, leading a change initiative. If I come to you and I make a presentation and I bring along the role models in your organization that you respect, role models don't have to be always the big bosses. Sometimes they are the tribal chiefs. If I get them on my side to talk about why my initiative is so important and make them part of the dialogue of creating a case for change, would that trigger your interest? So please put up your hand or click on an emoji function. Thank you. So quite a few people. It would trigger your interest. It would trigger mine as well. I give you another scenario. I'm still your change manager who is managing the project, and I'm presenting you a beautifully designed PowerPoint. I even prepare handouts for you to see the ROI, the return on investment. Ladies and gentlemen, if only we manage to implement this within 6 months, this is what we're going to save. This is going to be exactly the return on investment. Right now, this is how we are operating, the loss-making or the current profitability numbers, and this is what we can achieve. Would those numbers trigger your interest? Please put up your hand or a little emoji. Thank you. I see quite a few people. Great. So if I talk to you, I know I need to plan with some statistics too. The third one, a trigger to prove it to people that it matters for you to be involved, is stories. There are people, and many people out there, whose interest is triggered if they hear about competitors doing something similar and feeling the opportunity that we can outperform them. Or if they hear within the organization, other countries or other offices tried to implement this change, maybe they succeeded, maybe they failed, we can do even better. That little bit of a competition and the ability to visualize it through stories might trigger people's interest as well. Could you indicate to me either with your hands up or with a little reaction button if that's something that's interesting to you? Thank you. So prove it with the 3 triggers: sponsor, statistics, stories. I see a lot of hands going up for the stories. This is fantastic. Now yours truly, Margit Takacs. I am triggered by number 1 and 3. If you want to convince me, little user guide to Margit, if you want to convince me about being involved in a change, you need to invite tribal chiefs, influencers together with you to tell me what is it about, why it's important, how we're going to do it, and tell me stories. I have a kind of a connection with competitiveness. I always see an opportunity to continuously improve for myself, but also as a team or organization. But genuinely, automatically, I would not be inclined to prepare statistics numbers. What does it mean? I've seen quite a few people. Tony Shepard, your face and name showed up as you put up your hand. If I want to convince Tony, and I only go with the arguments that this is important for us to pursue, and I only use sponsors and stories, number 1 and 3, I will not speak the language of Tony and the Tonys of the world, because he's not the only one. What does that tell me? We want to convince leaders that business growth can be achieved if we focus not just on the technical side, but also on the human side. It only happens if we don't only focus on the technical side, but also on the human side, just to repeat myself. And that is a trigger that we need to achieve. And we have different preferences. So think about yourself for a moment, where you put up your hand, and what it would take for you to also prepare yourself for the least favored trigger for you to use in the future when you want to convince others. So now this is the one that I believe has changed my life. Service profit change and change management. To understand the importance of today's topic, I'd like to discuss this in the context of business. The service profit chain, beautifully described in this article from Harvard Business Review, explain why it's important to master change and tame the chaos. It all starts with the employees and the internal services they receive, like development opportunities, adequate remuneration, faultless payroll, just to name a few. When the internal processes work smoothly, then people feel valued, well-trained, and equipped. And they are more likely to deliver exceptional service to the customers, and they are satisfied. This has a direct impact on their productivity and people's productivity and their willingness to go the extra mile to serve the customers exceptionally well. And when customers receive high quality service, there's a positive interaction with the employees, and they will more likely stay with the company. And I guess it's not new. Loyal customers are more likely to spend more time and try new products, and they are less money sensitive. Ultimately, the service profit chain puts everything together to show us how employee satisfaction and customer satisfactions are both essential to achieve revenue growth and profitability. So leading and managing the people side of change is not just about making people happy and engaged and customers to be happy and engaged, but to keep thriving and help the organization continue growing. Now, whilst I love the topic of change management, I'm at a certain level an expert in it with methodology, knowledge, and experiences. Customer centricity is a crucial topic in this graph, service profit chain. And for that reason, I invited my partner in crime in the masterminds field, Lynn, to come along, because she has dedicated most of her career to see how we can find a way to trigger interest and put everything into context for the leaders so that, yes, they get the revenue growth, the business growth and profitability, but by taking care of the human side as well. Lynn, over to you.
Thank you. Would you mind just quickly going back one slide? Because I think indeed, just like you, I'm a very big fan of this particular model or the service profit chain, because indeed it shows how things are intertwined. And the focus with many, many different companies is usually revenue growth. So the number one reason why companies come and knock on my door is because they want to increase their profitability, specifically the revenue. And oftentimes they ask, how can I get more clients? What can I do in terms of marketing? How can I improve the selling elements? Those things are extremely important. And of course, it is something at the core of making more profit. Having said that, if those steps beforehand are not set in place, the rest almost does not matter. So you can have all the fantastic slides in the world and presentations, but if your staff does not understand how it impacts the customer satisfaction and the customer loyalty, it actually is not used to its best ability, and therefore it will not give you the results that you require. And then in terms of marketing ROI or even just generic ROI, you're quite limited because, again, the employees, they're not necessarily understanding the importance, and therefore they're not productive when it comes to marketing and or sales. So moving forward to the next slide, I came up with the question of why the customer-centric mindset. So why is it important? Now it's a mouthful, right? So I can talk about this for many hours. But to keep it very short, I kept it with three main things. It's empathy, learning, and ownership. So this is all elements for the employee. So it is important that the employee understands the importance of having empathy, the importance of continuous learning, and the importance of ownership. So looking for empathy specifically, here what I mean is that it's all about understanding the customer's perspective. And this is so crucial because it is very important that there's not just a connection between the business and the customers, but more importantly, actually employees, right? So you might have your presentations, you might have all of these different type of marketing elements, fancy LinkedIn profiles, and so forth. But if at the end of the day, there's no emotional connection between the employees that represent the business and its customers, you shall not have that level of empathy. You will therefore not understand the customer's perspective. And unfortunately, it has a very big impact on that service profit chain that we saw before. Learning is not just learning a one-time thing. So when I do a lot of trainings with companies, it is not just a one-off, because the challenge is especially that the customer preferences are always evolving. They keep on changing. It's not just about knowing the current trends, but it's also about the future trends. And not just in terms of the industry, but also your specific customers for your company. So this continuous learning is extremely important. And this is not theory, or this is not technical skills. This is 9 out of 10, the soft skills, including mindset. The last point was about ownership. So ownership is, again, a question of the employees not just understanding the importance about the link between employees and the customer preferences and therefore the profit, but also understanding what level of importance they have, what is their specific role, and to really know how to take ownership. So what can they do in order to take that responsibility and to really guide them in terms of their pride in their work, so they see the impact that they might actually have, not just on the customer today, but also for the business in the long run.
Thank you, Lynn.
Well, can we go to the next slide?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lynn. Well, both Lynn and I are convinced that it's not just about us telling you what we've experienced, it's also what you would do in our shoes. And for that reason, based on true story, I put together a case study called Fit for Profit. Many years ago, I was involved in this initiative. And in about 2 minutes, 10 seconds, you will hear about the background. I invite you to take notes in whatever shape or form for yourself. You will hear it just once. And after that, I will ask Lynn to put you into groups for 7 minutes to talk with each other about what you would do to get the board members more involved, to really look at the human side, not just delivering fit for profit. So let's listen to this short recording. Our company embarked on the Fit for Profit project to streamline and enhance its procurement processes. We were tasked to implement these revamped processes and new ways of working within a swift 4-month timeline. This initiative involved significant technical changes, including the implementation of digitization to streamline the procurement process, reduce manual tasks, and boost efficiency. Data analytics was crucial in gaining insights into procurement trends, supplier performance, and cost-saving opportunities. Additionally, e-procurement was introduced to automate purchasing, approval flows, and vendor communication. In parallel with these technical changes, there was a significant impact on the ways of working. We needed to shift the focus of our employees from internal processes to customer needs and expectations, ensuring that procurement decisions supported the customer experience. It was important to establish a culture of continuous improvement, encouraging employees to seek ways to enhance processes and outcomes regularly. Furthermore, automation took the lead in various processes to reduce the number of touch points with vendors, minimizing interactions with them. The core objective of the Fit for Profit project was to simplify internal procedures while ensuring they remained highly effective and customer-centric. However, the main problems were that the board members were nowhere to be seen during the implementation, and that many employees perceived the existing processes as functioning seamlessly and were hesitant to embrace the change. And the way the company worked mostly focused on its problems. This inward focus had substantial consequences already, notably the decline in Net Promoter Scores, or NPS, a crucial metric for assessing customer satisfaction and loyalty, and helping us to keep growing as a business and to be profitable. What's the best way to persuade board members to invest more time and resources in the human aspect? Today's topic is business growth through human-centric approach. Humans are both customers and employees, and you see this procurement initiative had the challenges on both. Whilst being inward-looking, not. Remembering so much that everything we do is for the customers. It was also important to see what we can do overall to really mobilize the leaders. As the next little exercise, I would like to invite you to use the same link that you've seen before in the previous poll. And I would like you in the next 7 minutes to discuss with the small team that you are assigned to, what would you do? What would be the best ways to activate these board members so we no longer would say they were nowhere to be seen? If only those 7 + 1 minute lasted longer, right? Thank you very much. Welcome back. Well,
Thank you.
I appreciate your responses also on Polev. If you have ideas that you haven't put in, please feel free to do so. Let's have a look at some of the little light bulbs that came up from the breakout rooms. The first one was talk to them about the NPS, to face the numbers, explain the need to land the change with the people delivering to its customers. So it's probably the story side, share stories with them. Show them the added value for the people, talk numbers, use stories maybe about what competitors do and how in other organizations everything in procurement is already digitized. So this Fit for Profit project is rather timely. Give financial quantifiable statistics, show them the service profit chain, and ask them how they see their visibility in driving all elements. This one is an element that I've done a couple of times. Even if we have 15 minutes with a board or just with a few leaders, just talking them about this service profit chain that you saw in the previous slide can open up doors, because it's not blaming anyone. It's talking conceptually about something that allows us to understand the different influencing factors. So feel free to use that. Ensure those board members make connection between what matters. Ask them what they are willing to commit. No one likes to be told what they should be doing, but the best way to get the boards on the right page, on the same page, is by asking them, in light of what we discussed about stories, sponsors, and statistics, what are you willing to do? Build on their ideas and enrich it as and when they allow us to do that. Talk about the morale, again, the NPS, talk about the what's in it for me. Make sure you dedicate time on stakeholder management. Without that, we can get people on board. That allows us to understand what really is motivating or demotivating them. Use the discussion about the consequences of not doing the change, and also how we need to catch up with the environment. Use case study from ProSci Research. This is the organization I referred to you before. Plenty of researches and references to be building on when we discuss this with leaders who we want to win over for the human side. Make a business case real, and definitely use numbers, because just happiness and engagement of employees will most likely not be enough to get them triggered. It can be one element. Help them identify the vision, share similar examples, and even share benchmarks about similar deployments. Thank you so much. You see, the 600 years of experience we have today present, more or less, has given us another about 20 tactics that we could do in order to get going with the right discussion, so that we can grow our business or our organization with a human-centric change. Now, in 45 minutes, I can't give you the full tool set of what to do to trigger interest, but from what I see, the prove it, with the 3 S, sponsors, statistics, and stories, resonated with many of you. So please take it with you. Lynn and I put together a 10-point checklist based on our understanding what are the possible actions, activities that can help us, so that we can engage leaders to be active and visible executive sponsors. This is something we will going to share with you after the call. This will be a little handout for you to take away with love from the 2 of us. And last but not least, I would like to just recap what we covered today. We talked about the gap and the connection between change management, the human-centric change approaches, and business success. We looked at why customer centricity is so important to enable that service profit chain, and also what real-life strategies we might be able to bring back, not just based on or recommendation from Lynn and myself, but also from all the participants that we saw in the open text section. I would like to invite you to write down keywords, expressions of what you took away from today's session. But before I let you go, I would like to also share with you, if you'd like to collaborate with us, just with one slide, what you can choose to do. So hold on, because at the end, I'm going to do the lucky draw of the 5 winners of the ebooks. So when it comes to maybe your interest in working with me, what I work on, my mission is to tame the chaos of change. We cannot eliminate resistance, it's human, but I believe we can tame the chaos. And recently I launched a program called Change Confident Academy, which is an 8-week-long program that includes 15-20 minutes videos on a Kajabi platform. It includes workbooks, quizzes, and different resources. I'm running weekly group coaching session with the participants, and that allows us to network with like-minded people. And also there is a Black Friday promotion. If you are interested, no pressure. If you're interested, check out with the QR code or the link above what I'm willing to offer and happily offer to people to participate, so that we can cope with the inertia and resistance at the workplace. We can get unstuck when it comes to bringing others on board, and also convince change leaders to be active partners in crime for the human-centric change. So that's over to you and Lynn.
So from my side, I work with business leaders all around the world, whereby I mostly focus on consulting, training, and also running retreats now. So mostly corporate retreats, but The one that is soon happening is the Business Leader Retreat. It's the 17th, 18th, and 19th of January. So it's just around the corner. It is a 3-day luxury retreat whereby I work together with business leaders. So literally anybody that has a business to run. So even entrepreneurs, but also intrapreneurs. So people that are responsible for driving business growth in the format of revenue. And I show them how to become more customer-centric, to boost their revenue sustainably and to actually enjoy the process. So to help them to be more confident when it comes to marketing and selling. So they are 3 days with 5 transformative workshops, accommodation for 2 nights, including the food and beverage, and all else is actually included. So it's an all-inclusive retreat. I'll share the link, but you also have the QR code and the link here. And in short, it would be a pleasure to have maybe a few of you over there or somebody that you may know. And of course, just like Margit, there's also by chance a Black Friday promotion happening right now. So go check it out.
Let's have fun. If you wish to collaborate, there is one way to do that. But I promise for those of you who are present, I would like to share 5 ebook copies of my recently launched published book called Change Matters, which is available on Amazon. It is about stories about taming the corporate jungle and leading transformation. That includes 10 narrative stories about different scenarios in the world and what changes we might be facing. I'd like to share with you one quote that I believe in when it comes to change management and human-centric approach. It's from Maya Angelou, who said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel." And I hope we managed to give you a few nuggets that will help you move forward at your workplace with everything that you do, and that we managed to make you feel engaged and having fun in this little virtual webinar. Thank you so much for joining today. I look forward to staying in touch and see you soon again.